All right, so yeah, there you go. Mr. Musa Alwar Rafsanjani joins us next. As you've seen there, he's the Executive Director, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center and Head of Transparency International here in Nigeria. Good morning and thank you for coming on today.
Good morning.
That was quite interesting. Yes, we'll talk about some of the recommendations that came through and suggestions at the retreats by the senators in Uyo recently. But if you could just take it off from what the honorable gentleman was talking about there, how he thinks, look, we don't do something about this. If you're sitting at that #1 seat, almost everybody needs some sort of favor. Even the opposition lawyer, he says, we'll need something from government. So you cannot afford to go against, because if that happens, you may lose certain ground. So do you consider his positions valid and needs to be looked into?
Absolutely. In the context of Nigerian elite that have appears to lost their bearing to stand for justice, I think what he said is just simply right. The materialism that has taken over many people's consciousness has undermined the integrity in the whole system. So everybody, most people, that are in the position to speak the truth, you see them, they are not speaking the truth, or they are simply just being quiet. So this is a major challenge, and you can look at it from different, stakeholders in Nigeria. Religious leaders who are supposed to say the truth, sometimes they just decide to keep quiet and ask the followers to pray for oppressors. Community leaders, they are also in the same shoe. So in the past, we all know how our grandparents, have stand for the truth. Will face a governor, a minister, a local government chairman, a director, a president, and tell him the truth. Not in an abusive way, but in a very corrective way. Now, tell me, who do you see speaking the truth to our leaders? Whether privately, whether openly, we hardly see those things happening. And that is why now you will see that religious leaders have practically become, with due respect, beggars. Because a governor will call them and they will rush to come to him. In the past, the governor will have to come to community leader or religious leader in whatever capacity they find themselves. Now they are running after government house all the times, or running to come to the villa. So I think that has seriously undermined the integrity and the capacity and the respect that they supposed to have, and also caution leaders when they are doing wrong things. But that is the reason why the media and the civil society must continue to rise and be conscious of the society. If these other traditional people that are supposed to say the truth are deciding to keep quiet because of what will come to their pocket, I think media and civil society job is about sacrificing, is about patriotism, and therefore we must continue to speak the truth. We must continue to call for correctness. Civil society groups, they advocate for amendment, for reforms, for ensuring that we follow the due process. And that's all. And they do this through providing credible information, through research, through advocacy, through creating awareness, facilitating dialogue and understanding among both the government and even within the intergovernment agency, so that there will be smooth running and governance in the country. But if every Nigerian now will have to keep quiet because he is afraid or she's afraid that they will not give him appointment, or they will not give him money, or they will not give him payable, then we are in trouble. And that is the reason why, in particular, judges are given this special consideration of respect and regard, that they are supposed to play justice. They are not supposed to compromise and be doing all this kind of funny thing that we are saying, delivering judgments through Zoom, because you know what you are doing porn nine. So I think it is important.
You think something is wrong with that?
It is wrong. It is wrong. If you know that what you are doing is fair and, justice, why are you afraid? As a judge, you should also know that you are making sacrifice. Why are you running? If you know that you believe what you are doing, you should be able to face it and say the truth and explain why you have taken that position. Like we have seen our, previous judges, in this country that have the courage. They were not afraid of any president or governor or minister. And they are not looking for materialism to gather to buy houses abroad and in Nigeria. They were purely honest, sincere, patriotic, and nobody can even near them with any bribe. But now, see what is going on now. People are even struggling to be appointed in the election tribunal as a judge because they know once they are there, that is it. They have.
Do you have it on good authority that some of them are struggling to be part of the tribunal?
This is there. Look, in Nigeria, you buy every appointment now. What are you saying? Go everywhere.
You buy every appointment?
Yeah, but I'm telling you, this is what Nigerians are facing through. Even to get admission, you have to do that. To go to even hospital to get, attended to, somebody will want you to give something. So there is no way to run away from this fact. It's happening, and a lot of people are saying it, and it's now left for government to sit down and block those leakages. It's happening. Your son, somebody, okay, you are a popular person, maybe your son can get job at some of those places that is completely prohibiting for poor people, children. But I am telling you, if you are a honest and genuine Nigerians in this country now, for you to follow the process, the due process, it's like they will be laughing at you. But we are determined to continue to do the right thing.
Yeah, I understand your point that in some areas, certain things are happening that should not happen, but it doesn't mean it's happening everywhere.
Most places.
It's something we should address.
Exactly,
really
most places.
Yeah. But in terms of some of those recommendations that they suggested, the president should not be the one to appoint INEC chairman, ensure that you put into the laws or make it mandatory to transmit results electronically. If you could start with first that of INEC.
Yes.
Because now some of the headlines is they are trying to see how they can unbundle INEC. They use that word deliberately. So will the president not appointing INEC chairman affect anything?
So first and foremost, I want to align myself and the organization that I represent, Transition Monitoring Group, TMG, CISLAC, Transparency International, and other organizations that I belong to.
Many
we are actually, in full support that President Tinubu should do something historic, memorable, and something that his name will be remembered. Just like you had with President Yar'Adua, who admitted that there were some certain areas that were wrong with his election, and he was determined to ensure that we carry out electoral reforms. And you remember, he set up credible Nigerians comprising of different actors to come and do a very robust work that will have helped us to address exactly, a waste report that will have helped us to address some of this. You remember, even Professor Jega was a member. Olisa Abakoba was a member. Professor Jibrin was a member. Quite a number of places. All of these actors were all there. They neutrally brought in people who would do justice to it. Now, unfortunately, politics after he died came and took over that beautiful work that has been done that will have led us to having more credible and transparent election in this country. So what we are urging President Tinubu to do, now that he is there, he should initiate a genuine process of addressing those gaps in our electoral reform. Some of it require constitutional amendment. Some of it require National Assembly to either legislate or to amend. You remember, in 2014, I was at the National Conference organized by Jonathan government, and that committee, that conference brought in a broad recommendation on amending or addressing electoral gaps in our country. Unfortunately, they never implemented that, And Buhari, it took him almost 7 years at the turn of his administration for him to even agree to sign some of the amendments that we have today in our Electoral Act. So I am saying that President Tinubu should take advantage of the crisis that we have, which is a crisis of confidence in the entire electoral system by many Nigerians and international community, to begin to bring a process, genuine process that will address and that will reform and have a more sound electoral system that will enable Nigerians to participate, that will enable Nigerians to believe in what our institutions are. Because it's very painful to see that Nigerians don't even believe in our officials, they don't believe in our institutions, because our institutions and officials that are given the trust, the the opportunity to do the right things, Nigerians, they see it differently. So it is an opportunity for Mr. President to set up a genuine committee that will look at gaps within the Constitution and within the Electoral Act, so that we can address some of these things. The last speaker was talking about...
We need another committee. I mean, what exactly are the committees in the House and in the Senate supposed to do? Because if they are already saying that this is what, I mean, was a Senate retreat, where these proposals came out from, if they're already looking in that direction, what do we need another committee
Yes, because in Nigeria, as far as Nigerian legislators are concerned, if things do not emanate from president, it hardly gets speedy recognition, consideration. So it is better we have both the legislature and the executive speaking on the same direction on the need to have this fundamental electoral reform in our constitution, or in our electoral system. Otherwise, if it is just one-sided, the National Assembly can do the work like they have done during Buhari, and he will not look, Tinubu may not look at it. But if there's a buying-in of both the president and the National Assembly, the civil society will always continue to provide the support to make sure that this thing happens, just like we had even with the current Electoral Act that was amended. It was largely the civil society engine work that helped to provide what we even have, as better Electoral Act. So likewise too, we need to have both the executive and the legislature to agree that, look, we have something fundamental wrong in our Electoral Act and we need to amend it. And not only amending it, complying with it, because having it is a different thing. Politicians agreeing to comply with it, and of course, even the electoral body to implement it is another thing. And that is why civil society will always continue to advocate and ensure that we observe and monitor and document breaches so that we will always change it. So I am appealing to both the National Assembly, who have attended this retreat, who have seen these gaps, that they should actually move fast, getting the executive to also be on the same thing. We don't need to waste time for that, because if we are serious, this can be done within the shortest period of time, and then you can restore hope and confidence on Nigerians that, yes, they can participate in the election. Because before 2023, you remember, Nigerians were not interested. It has to take the commitment of civil society, who they got assurance from INEC that this time around there will not be 4-9 in the election. And civil society went to the field, mobilized the citizens to get to the PVC, get to register first, get to their PVC, and then come out to vote. Now, the Nigerian people, many of them, they are having a belief that the system will no longer be, the electoral system will no longer be transparent, inclusive, and therefore they may not necessarily want to continue to pursue the same. But we have opportunity if we are able to genuinely address some of these gaps that we have noted, and even during the retreat, and to start with, first, President Tinubu must not appoint politicians, whether APC, whether opposition party, as card-carrying members in INEC. If you do that, you are undermining the constitutional provision, because the Constitution is very clear. You cannot populate the place with people who are politicians, who are card-carrying politicians, and you must not carry people who are crooks, who are criminal, who have record of being involved in fraudulent and criminal sin.
Mr. Rasojani, you have already gone to the how. It's interesting that you say that the executive and the legislature must collaborate for any ideas that they have to work at all. I mean, have to work within the shortest possible time. For me, I think that borders on the how, which is very important, because, I mean, we can talk about the what. And at the end of the day, if we don't know how we're going to get there, it's a big problem. But I want to look at some of what has been proposed and how realistic they are. The Senate is looking at making transmission of results, which has been very controversial in this last election. Yes. They want it real time, and they want it entrenched in the law. Some people have said, oh, that's good, that leaves INEC in a very, very tight position, etc., etc. That's why it was not stated explicitly. But given our current experience, it does appear that's what the National Assembly wants to look at. There's also the issue of diaspora voting. For you, how big an achievement will that be if we're able to achieve something like diaspora voting as the Senate is looking at it?
Look, if we are all determined and we are serious about improving electoral and governance system in Nigeria, these are not problems. Smaller countries have witnessed diaspora voting of other countries in the US, in the UK, in Europe, and it's not a problem. Why should it be a problem for Nigeria? Look, there are a lot of problems, and that is why I think if we are all serious, we must take this reform very serious. It is because some politicians are determined at all times to rig election, to undermine the electoral process. That is why they are creating this impossibility. It's not a problem. Look, some countries, do you know that you can actually, do your voting and send it by mail? I've witnessed that in Germany. So what is so special about this, if not because people see election as a process of getting in there to loot and still not to do the service? If it is about service, my dear, people should beg you to come and contest. But now you are going to use dirty money, bribe everybody, that you can bribe, get in there. Some people borrow money. Do you know that some people, I relate a lot with the members of the National Assembly. Many of them actually got broke in the previous elections because they borrow money, hoping that they will reap something.
They borrow money to contest election.
They borrow money to contest election. A lot of people, invest, to win election.
Wow.
Because when they win the election, they believe that they will, of course, recover and in part make more profit. And those who are honest in the National Assembly not to be involved in the extortion during the oversight, you see many of them are marginalized. Some senators in the past confessed to me how they suffer marginalization because they try to do the right thing during the oversight. So you will not even be told that the group will even go, the committee will go, if you are going to express different opinions there. So we have a system that we have to unbundle it. This democracy we are operating in Nigeria is different from the one we have in Bisset. It's different from the one that we canvass. It's not a democracy of looting and looters or rigging or using dirty money to capture powers for your own self-interest. No, that is not the kind of democracy a lot of people sacrifice their life to have in 1999. So therefore, we have duty and responsibility as patriotic, responsible citizens to always point out these areas so that the system can be actually amended. Diaspora voting right. is possible.
Yeah,
it is possible.
So, Ayo, when you hear some people say those members should carry people along, now you see, they borrow money to contest. So, there you go.
You actually pointed out that we had an interview where carry along has connotative and whatever other meanings, But let me ask Mr. Sanjani this one. Something that's credited to the Chief Press Secretary to the INEC chairman. He was saying something along the line of the lessons that they have learned in INEC, and that's it right there. It says technology can throw up challenges, but by and large, we have learned our lessons from the 2023 general elections. Now, here's where I'm going. We are not transmitting, we're uploading. All we are doing is that we are taking pictures of the polling unit results and uploading same to the portal. Do you agree that, that's exactly the spirit of the Electoral Act, not transmitting, but barely uploading? Or is it, what do you think is happening right there?
My brother, we spent 27 billion naira to invest in technology with view to improve our election and the electoral process in Nigeria. We cannot waste that resources and in the middle of the road abandon what we have invested and what made many Nigerians to believe that this time around things will go very well. And you could see that because of the use of technology, we have minimized these dubious numbers that people will say they have got 2 million, 3 million in some places where actually the registered voters are not more than maybe 700,000, but somebody would declare 1 million plus as a winner. You can see that technology has helped to reduce those ridiculous figures that people are actually escalating. So the need to improve in whatever lapses of using the technology is paramount, is important, and that is the only way to go. We cannot come back to analog voting or electoral process in Nigeria, where you give people the opportunity to be thumbprinting and and you have no opportunity to even actually eliminate undervoters or people who are not even registered, in the first place. So we must take advantage of what we have started. Look, Nigerians applauded and actually congratulated INEC when it conducted a Ekiti and Osun election. And it was that impressive thing that INEC have done that led to many people to believe in INEC. And even we in civil society, when Nigerians did not want to give INEC a chance, we put our credibility, we put our integrity to convince Nigerians that this time around, INEC had assured Nigerians that they're not going to be game.
Well, Mr. Rafsanjani...
Some way, somehow, we have recorded...
Yeah, my apologies for butting in. I'm still talking about technology. And when you say we are not going back into the analog regime, I'm wondering whether or not we have even left that analog regime in the first place completely. Because unless I'm getting something wrong, there's still a place where some things still have to be entered manually. As that statement by the CPS of INEC says, they only upload results that have been handwritten. But do you see a situation where we get to that regime of something that happens in the U.S.? I've seen the collation of the results, especially of the presidential elections in the U.S. You see the numbers rising or falling wherever it is in the different parts of and then you see the percentages changing as the results are coming in. And that, I think, is something that a good number of Nigerians would want to see, where it's purely electronic, everything is being entered from wherever. Add that to the fact that not all political parties are empowered to have their representatives at the wards all across the country. Not all of them have even up to 95%. Some have barely 60, 70%, and all of those things. How do those things affect the integrity of the process as far as the electorate or even the political parties themselves are concerned?
This is a process. And what is important is the determination and the sincerity to make progress in this regard. If our government and our politicians are ready, I am telling you, this is not impossible. We will make the necessary progress that we needed in order to restore confidence and hope in the electoral process, and in order to make the electoral process to be transparent and actually enable Nigerians to participate. But as long as there's this predetermined motive that we must make this in do or die, one of the elder and former, leader in this country wrote that, unfortunate, statement that election is do or die, and that sent wrong signal to so many people to think that yes, they have to capture this in, because it is only when they capture this that they can actually steal as much as they want and go to the, the privileges in government. And secondly, some of them will openly tell you that we meet in the court because they know what they have already done. So they can perpetuate the wrong thing and they will tell the opponent, let's meet in the court, because they are probably ruling, or they are people that have the power at that instance. You can be opposition, you can be majority party, But we have to do a lot of things.
All right.
Whether we like it or not, we need to do political party reform in this country. There's no way we can be having this kind of political parties that they only exist when it is election time and when it's only going to be doing trading, that they step down for this candidate of this party. Or not. That is not the kind of party we are looking for. We are looking for a party that will be robust, that will be able to bring out policies, issues, and not only during the election, but as we are today.
All right, we thank you very much indeed, and we do hope that we'll keep focused on this and ensure that the right things are done for the next elections to be better, which is what we all want, I reckon. Mr. Auwal Musa Rafsanjani is the Executive Director, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, and also Head, Transparency International Nigeria, also Transition Monitoring Group. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much.
Now, yesterday, the Commissioner for Information in Kogi State issued a press statement, and that press statement was duly signed. As a matter of fact, the heading was "Gunmen in Military Uniform Attempted to Kill Governor Bello." And then it was a very lengthy one. And then he says that Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello on Sunday allegedly escaped an assassination attempt a few kilometers away from Abuja on his way to an official engagement from Lokoja. The statement also says that he says, according to the statements, it took the swift intervention of the security personnel attached to the governor to foil the satanic plans of the unknown soldiers, stressing that the attacks were at 3 different points, saying the last barricade being around Kwali, Federal Capital Territory, at about 4:20 p.m. The report of these strange attacks has been properly documented at security offices in the state and the national level for prompt and thorough investigations to avert future occurrences. We are not oblivious of the fact that certain elements are bent on painting Kogi unsafe ahead of the governorship poll slated for November 11, 2023. As an administration, we will spare nothing to ensure our citizens are not subjected to security threats by desperate politicians sponsoring violence and terrorism. That's part of what the statement read, and it was signed by the Kogi State Commissioner for Information, Kingsley Fanwo. So a very lengthy one, as a matter of fact. But not long after that, a few hours after that statement from the Commissioner for Information, Mr. Kingsley Fanwo, which was signed by him, the state government is making a U-turn. The governor himself has told journalists there was a misunderstanding. Here's what he said.
At about 1400 hours, we took off from Lokoja coming to Abuja, and the journey was smooth. Just about 1600 hours, my convoy, especially the security, had an encounter with another sister agency, and there was a fracas. Immediately, we waded in, and it was resolved. So thereafter, I began to hear in the social media about assassination attempt. I want to state categorically very clear, dear Nigerians, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that there was no assassination attempt on me, Yahaya Bello, the executive governor of Kogi State, by the military or by anybody. And I don't condone any act of indiscipline. That fracas to even have happened in the first place, I have called on the Nigerian police, the Nigerian army, the DSS, and all law enforcement agencies that are around me and on the road to investigate it and ensure that whoever is culpable is punished according to the rules and regulations of the various forces or the various services.
Wow. I don't know what to think. Because...
No, he doesn't know what to think. Okay. Well, I know what to think. I don't know what to say. So.
Oh, dear.
But you let us know what you have to say. I mean, you've heard both sides, and you can tell us what your thoughts are. Please use the handles. I know it's late today. We will not be able to get it. But, you know, think about it. Write your thoughts. Tomorrow, we'll certainly take it on.
Oh, don't worry. Keep your gunpowder dry. Tomorrow, we'll have time to... sink our teeth into it all and see.
I can only say thank God everybody is safe.
Yeah.
At least we didn't hear that anybody died. So I can assume, safely assume, that everybody is fine.
But this time they didn't say journalists misquoted anybody.
No.
They didn't blame journalists for purveying fake news.
We read the statement and we put the governor out there. So no more comments.
There's certainly more to this that meets the eye. But don't worry, just send us your thoughts. It's not over. We'll be back here tomorrow. We thank you all for watching. I'm Chamberlain Usoh. Goodbye. Thank you. I'm Mark Belgun, Yusuf.
Have a fruitful day. I'm keeping my gunpowder dry. I'm Ari Makinde. Have a wonderful day.